Well, folks, the deed is done. The collection is sold. It's no longer in my possession. What you see here on the shelf, this is the few things, the few items that made the cut. And I'll give you guys a little bit of a glimpse as to what made the cut at the end of the video. But the collection is sold. I decided a few months ago I wanted to sell a vast majority of my video game collection, and people speculated as to why I was doing it. I explained why I was doing it. People still speculated why I was doing it. If I was actually doing it, was this just a big clever ruse, some more RGT clickbait? But no, I'm the type of person when I want to move on from something, I'm going to move on from it. And I decided that it was time for me to sell a huge, vast majority of my collection. I had so much stuff, man. It was a bit overwhelming trying to find suitors who were interested in picking up the lot, because I wanted to sell everything at once. Was a very tough thing. And I ended up going with Phoenix Resale. Good old Caleb. Did he rip me off though? A lot of people seem to think, it seems like very split on Phoenix Resale. Some people really like him. Some people really hate him. They think he's a reseller. And I'm sorry, but everyone who sells a video game in 2023 that's a retro video game, they're a reseller. People seem to doubt his knowledge on video games, and they think he doesn't know anything about video games. We talked about video games. He knew quite a bit. I think his upbringing just wasn't, and this is just me speaking. So Caleb, if I'm wrong, I apologize. But I felt like maybe he had like a very religious upbringing, because certain video games that you and I might have played growing up, he wasn't necessarily allowed to. So he's a different type of gamer, but he's definitely a gamer. Like, he knows his stuff. He knows about games and stuff like that. And as far as, selling it to him, people don't understand that when you're talking about 5-figure plus deals, big money, adult money, there's a lot of people who can't throw that kind of money around. Store owners can't throw that kind of money around. They want your store. They want you to do store credit, because then it's like, oh, well, it's staying within the store. A lot of people don't want to play with that big money. He was one of the few people that could. He was one of the few people that did. So, people feel like, oh, I wonder if he ripped off RGT. At the end of the day, when it comes down to it, it's like, I can't get ripped off if I know what I have. I know what the absolute top dollar is worth, and we agree on a price, and I'm happy with that price. You know what I'm saying? I didn't expect 100% of the absolute value unless I did it individually. And if I did it individually, I would have been miserable. I would have spent more time at the post office than I would, playing and reviewing games and talking about games, which is kind of what I do. So Phoenix Resale, Caleb flew in, came over Tuesday night, this past Tuesday, which was, apologies, I should have known this better, on the 11th. And he stayed overnight at my house. We talked about video games. We watched some NBA play-in tournament games and stuff, and, looked around at the collection. But the next day, Wednesday, was definitely the day that we really sort of dove into stuff, because I had made a list to potential suitors, and I got to a point where I hadn't even gotten to consoles yet. And I was like, look, this is how much it's worth so far. If you give me a fair offer and I like the offer, everything else, just don't worry about it. It's just yours for free. And so he was cool with that. He trusted me. I trusted him. Kept the knife on me just in case. No, he's a very wholesome guy. And the next day is when we sort of dug into the collection. It was cool because I could see sort of his perspective on how he films stuff. He's a very different channel than I am. I'll have a link to his channel in the description box down below. And he's a very different channel than I am, as far as like setting things up and thinking kind of on a bigger scale, like for the shot and what he wanted in the image and what he didn't want in the image, and sort of how we did everything and how we broke everything up. He's going to have a huge video on it. We filmed a ton of stuff, and I was just filming B-roll the whole time because, my style is very different. And then, so after we got done filming everything and taking some pictures for our respective thumbnails, it was time to load up the truck. It was an unseasonably warm day here in the Northeast. I was sweating. I don't like sweating, but we loaded up the truck, and like, I realized just how much stuff it was. Like, I think it was like over 15 totes and big boxes combined. And there was just, it felt never ending. We loaded up his truck. And then he went on his way, and you know, I came back inside and just kind of reflected, and like it made me happy. It made me, I felt this sense of happiness. I felt this sense of relief. It was like almost like you had this Band-Aid and then you finally ripped it off, and you know, you looked underneath and everything was good. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, maybe like the collection itself had become something more, something more than just a collection of video games, but like maybe it had become something that I had just grown accustomed to, and I didn't know what life would be like without it. You know what I'm saying? I know that sounds so weird, and a lot of you that probably just flew over your head, you clicked off the video, you're like, this guy's a freaking weirdo, and that's fine, you're allowed to do that. But it just felt, I had this sense of relief. You know, it's like, oh, look at all this room I have now. I can rearrange some stuff. You know, the games that I have, I can display them. They're not just lined up row by row. You know, looking at some of this B-roll that I'm showing you, there's displays, there's fun stuff, you know, mixed in, lighting systems that I found as I was cleaning stuff up, you know, other things I'm interested in. And I just had this sense of relief, happiness, and satisfaction. You know, so did Phoenix Resale rip me off? Is he a scammer and all this stuff? No. Okay, not in any way, shape, or form. At the end of the day, everything has a perceived value. And something only has value if somebody gives it to someone. If I said that this bag of Pogs was worth $100, Power Ranger Pogs, you know, if somebody paid me $100, then it's worth $100. But if somebody pays me $5, then it's worth $5. Like, things have different value to different people. You know, some people highly value something, some people don't highly value something. It's normal. When you're talking about someone who buys up a lot of lots, they buy up a lot of video games and stuff, you know, there's going to be deals where they overpay, there's going to be deals where they underpay, just like anything in life. He's a solid dude. You know, if I didn't like him, I would say I didn't like him, but I enjoyed him. I enjoyed his company. I had a fun time hanging out with him. The business transaction was super smooth. He gave me a baseball bat too to commemorate the event, a Louisville Slugger bat. That's probably going to be in his video too. But like, that was completely out of the blue. It's a nice bat. It has an engraving on it too. Like, I was very happy. I was very happy with the transaction. He got to check out my local pizza joint. I think he liked it. He ate half the pie. But yeah, so regrets, none. If anything, I regret not doing it sooner. And I know that's a weird thing to say, but I honestly regret not doing it sooner. It's such a relief. I'm playing more video games and ROMs and, you know, upscaling stuff than I ever have before as far as retro stuff is concerned. And it's been a great experience. So, you know, I just wanted to give you guys kind of the final, I guess, closing chapter of this. I'm still going to buy video games. I actually have a Sega Genesis game coming in because when I was going through everything, I was like, well, wait a minute. Samurai Showdown on the Sega Genesis is something I have a ton of nostalgia for. I don't own it. I'm going to buy it. I bought a case for my Metroid Prime Hunters on the DS because I could not find the case for it when I was going through stuff. I'm still buying video games. It's just very curated, very select games. I have to have an attachment to it. I have to really like something about it. And if I don't, it just doesn't interest me because I can play it on a variety of devices, my mini PC or the other thing I bought. That, my friends, is a video for another day. We'll do the mini PC first, but then, well, there's a little behemoth back there. What is that, a window screen? Oh boy. Oh boy, I outdid myself. Anyways, guys, if you liked this series of videos, thank you. If you didn't like this series of videos, I don't care. Like, I genuinely do not care. The stuff is gone. I got a bunch more money in my bank account. I feel like Scrooge McDuck. I'm happy with it. You should be happy that I'm happy. If you can't be happy for other people's happiness, even if you don't understand it, you're a piece of shit. So, anyways, thanks for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure you go check out Phoenix Resale's video. It'll be up on his channel. At some point, he obviously takes a lot longer to edit than I do because he actually does more like a show where I'm just kind of a sit down and chat it up. So go ahead and subscribe to his channel as well. And as always, guys, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.